3, 2, 1. This is Matthew.
Oh, Jesus, dude, I'm sorry.
Maybe we should take another take. I thought we were on the same page here, but now I'm wondering. Okay. And 3, 2, 1. This is Matthew.
This is Daniel.
And you're listening to
MacNTalk. Mac. Yeah, we talk about Macs.
MacNTalk.
Yes.
MacNTalk.com. And we're glad that you're joining us in this
christening.
Yeah, rechristening of MacNTalk. We did this years ago. Come to find out, it was in 2007 was the last time we did this. So we're finally
it's been a few years.
We're finally getting back into it, and we're going to give you a little bit of history, just a little bit of history, so you know who we are. So we're gonna deem this as episode 1. So
right.
Sounds
good to me.
Season 1, episode 1.
Right.
Whatever. Good enough. So
Empire Strikes Back.
Yes, exactly. See, now you're talking. People will understand that. And so I'm
A New Hope.
Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. My name is Matthew, and little history behind my Mac experience or technology experience. We're going to mainly focus on the Mac part, but I'll give you a little bit of history about everything. And in 1984, I did programming, and you're going to sounds like I'm old, which I am, but 1984, I did programming in middle school. Okay, so I was, 12 years old at the time? And it was just basic programming. So that really doesn't count. But that was my first experience kind of with a computer, because it was the new age of computers. That was kind of the beginning, and they've been around a little bit, but not much. And then I didn't get much more experience until we purchased an Epson. I remember I was in school, let's get a computer, and my parents went out and they rushed out and they were excited and they spent way too much money and they said, here you go, yes, this is great, we can run Lotus or something on it, I don't even know what, Peachtree, and here you go. And so I could do a form of basic programming, which I'm not a programmer at all, but I was trying to learn a little things, and based on my experience with the Apple, I think it was Apple, Apple 3 or something like that. Anyway, so my experience from that, they brought this computer, and it just held me back because I didn't know anything about it, trying to learn it, whatever. Had taken a basic programming class, big whoopee-doo, not interested in it. So not until I was trying to do video editing, and this is where the meat and potato comes in. I was trying to do video editing, spent a lot of money. Yeah, I spent a lot of money on computer stuff. I mean, I spent embarrassingly, thousands of dollars on trying to get something. And I remember the first little thing that I got it and I put it to VHS tape and played it, and it was grainy and bad, and I was so proud, and I went to go do it again, and it did nothing but crash and burn, and it was the most horrible experience. And finally my cousin, who I think you'll all know in a minute, he said, I don't know, why don't you try a Mac? I think out of the box they can do what you're trying to do. Whatever. And I was pissed off enough. I went out and I bought one, and that was in 1999. Either it was the end of 99 or the beginning of 2000. And so I bought a G4 500 with OS 9 on it. And then shortly after that, most new Mac users, so bear in mind here, new Mac users, most Mac users get burned by the same thing. Within months, they came out with a new dual processor machine for the same amount of money. It's the law. And so I learned. They come out in certain times. Don't be unhappy about it. What you got is still cool. If it was cool when you got it, it's still cool. So anyway, so that was 2000. So then what happened is I went through OS 9, Cheetah, which is 10.0 OS X. We'll run through these, see if Dan knows these. Puma, which I totally forgot about, and that's 10.1. Jaguar, I remember, 10.2. Panther, 10.3, also kind of forgettable. But then
followed by Kitten.
But then but then
Garfield
Tiger
was next.
Leopard, and now we're on Snow Leopard. So I've had years of experience with Apple, done video editing, music recording, creative stuff. I'm not a world-class anything, but at least I have the experience of doing it, and I wouldn't use any other computer. And funny enough, I work on computers that are not Macs and networks and servers and all sorts of stuff, but I have my hands in the PC world. So why I'm saying that is because I know both worlds, so when I speak from experience. I'm not just picking on when I say something, it's actual experience.
You currently work with Windows. I mean, on a daily basis, you see them, you work with them.
I support at a certain level, but I have to deal with the Windows server side as well, and
You know of what you speak.
Yes, I will get credit when it is due, but beyond that. So that's a little bit of me. Way too much about me. We'll also post a little bit of information on the
bio
thing. And I'm going to pass it over to Dan, and then we'll get started on other things after that.
Oh, well, you went way back in history, like when you first started using computers. Yeah, I had a geek dad. So a dad who was kind of a techie geek guy, and so we had computers in the house when nobody had them. I can remember my dad sitting out in the garage and the workspace thing he had set up out there, and he'd sit out there and solder these little boards together.
Dude, it's funny. I was gonna say he was soldering shit, and I was gonna joke about it, but really, he did?
Oh yeah, no, dude, he learned electronics in the early 50s, when it was an emerging technology.
Right.
So he went all the way through it, and so I remember as a kid in the 70s, he was out there and soldering little boards together, and he had this little screen, and it would come up and blip and do things, and so the really rudimentary, very early computers, these little geeky guys, probably like the Woz or whoever, and dicking around. Messing around with these little computers, making these machines, and so I always kind of was around it, and was sort of familiar watching him, and just hang out with your dad, and he'll tell you a thing or two. And then I can remember the first thing I actually used as a computer was what was it? It was a little while. It was a ways after that. This is when they were becoming somewhat popular. It was a Commodore 64.
Oh yeah. See, I never had one. My parents would never buy one of those.
Yeah, I had a Commodore 64 and that, and I learned BASIC and little things, and I actually had a modem back then. Actually, I had a modem where you'd actually put the big receiver of the phone, those old style phones with the ear and the mouthpiece, and you'd put it in that little cradle, and it would turn up, and it would do. Yeah, I had one of those anyway. So from that, moved. Actually, this is funny. Before floppy disks, I had a cassette.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
Yeah, we had a cassette thing. It would read cassettes and all that. So that's way back then, and computers moved on upwards and onwards.
Through the Ataris and Indivisions and stuff like that.
Yeah,
what was it?
Never really had the Mac around the house because Macs were very expensive, in the 80s and whatever, and didn't have that kind of money sitting around. But had the PCs and got into art, and design and things like that, and through school and a little bit of college and all that kind of jazz, and got it. And of course, running that road, you get into Macs. That's just what you use. It's what people use. The whole creative industry, you're on a Mac, and so that took me down Mac. Last time I used a PC, I would say, was like Windows NT. Was last time I had my hands on a PC. And,
that's painful.
And I've happily never looked back. So certainly you have more to say about. Matt, you have more to say about what Windows is doing nowadays. For me, it's just
yeah. And I'll bring up whenever I feel it's necessary.
Kind of a bad memory for me.
I mean, right now they have some pretty okay stuff for the. I mean, you have to take that into consideration that we're talking about Windows, and it's been nothing but a cumbersome process. And we had a conversation before about bands and saying that just because they're the most popular doesn't mean they're the best. And I think that's a prime example of using Windows with that. I mean, it's the most popular. Obviously, they have the most market share. It doesn't mean they're the best. It doesn't mean that they're not good. But it just means that it doesn't mean that they're the best. So, yeah, I'll give them credit when I feel it's necessary.
Yeah. So you have more experience with them. So, whatever. So anyway, I work as a designer, doing graphic design, advertising, marketing for people, that kind of jazz. So I work with Macs all the time, and I love them and look at them. And had a guy years ago, somebody was joking with us, and I was working in a company, and we were the design people in house, and somebody came in and thought we were very odd how close we were with our machines and how much we loved our Macs. And he said, well, you spend this much time with something and you relate to it that closely, you kind of get attached. And it's true.
Well, and it's funny because I've heard people say that too. And, I mean, it's a good machine. Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know what to say. We use computers every single day, and it's like, it's driving a car that you like. You get in it, and you'd rather be driving that car than the dumpy car. Sorry. I mean, it's I mean, why would I go, hey, can I use that piece of crap?
Yeah, I had a guy I used to work with, Ben. I think you remember Ben. You probably met him a couple of times.
Probably.
Ben Dieppe, he was awesome. I like that guy. He's a great guy. But he was the one who brought up, he was the first person that I had used the saying, talking about PCs to Macs, and he would say, he said, I mean, Macs versus PCs, I mean, they both generally do the same thing. They'll both get you there, and he likened them to, driving a Ford or a Mercedes. I mean, they both basically do the same thing. They'll both get you there, but wouldn't you rather drive the Mercedes?
Right. Exactly.
So I always thought Ben had a pretty one. I don't know if he made that up or not. Probably not, but he was the first person I heard that from. So.
Right. No, I think that's a good point.
Yeah. So any apps to talk about? Anything for the phones, computers?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about an app that it's kind of interesting. First, my first experience with it was today, and but first I wanted to point out something. I wanted to go back a little bit. This isn't part of our plan, but okay. You had said something that I feel that is very interesting for people to think about, and we had these machines like the machines that I mentioned, right? And I didn't get a machine going, when basically what I'm trying to say is when there was no internet, there was no point of having a machine. You look back and you say, okay, well, you have all this stuff and you go to work on your machine. Now take the internet out of it. Wow. The internet's like 90% of work that I do.
And also, it's the connectivity that it provides, not just on the internet, on websites,
right. But networking and sharing and info, and I mean, it's a fascinating thing. So it's just something to think about. I just wanted to point that out because you said that, and it was a good point, and it stuck with me. It's like
I love it. I mean, that now. It's just awesome, and that the connectivity it has in the world just brings everything together, and also that my working life is so different now, and that I don't actually I don't have a job that I go to, but I just do my work out of my house, and that I can go sit anywhere I want. I can go sit in a coffee shop, or I can go sit in the public library. I did that the other day, and that was very nice and quiet, and I sat there. That was my office for half a day. I sat there.
Cool.
And just sat there and was completely connected with the world and emails and did my design work, and it was awesome. You can,
you have a mobile office. Yeah. How many? Yeah, exactly. Really. How many years ago?
I have a little backpack, and I can make a living with that.
Right. But I think you were going to say how many years ago we didn't have the internet.
Yeah, and this hasn't
mobility.
Been an impossibility. Yeah, impossible that you could sit down. Yeah, I remember that doing design work, I had to have the fastest machine in the building, and it was this big tower with all this stuff.
Made big fans.
And yeah, we fired up, and had to lock things down as the fans started whizzing.
Yeah, lights would dim.
And now I have this little. Of course, it's a Mac, so it's pretty. My pretty little laptop that I have, and I can go anywhere, and anywhere I sit my butt in a seat, and I have Wi-Fi. Boom, I'm at work.
Yeah, that's very cool. So that's just something.
Is that good or bad? I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's. I don't think it's either. I don't think it's good and bad. Let's just say that it's both, but neither. I think it's just something to think about how technology's changed our lives and how we've progressed in even a short amount of time. I don't want to use up all our time with this, but I
Sure.
mean, even 10 years is not that long on the whole timeline, and how much we've advanced to. Yeah, we have the internet, to every household having the internet, or darn near it. Coffee shops having wireless, walking around, mobility phones that do internet with. I mean, it's just the advancement of the technology of computing has been. And I'm going to say this: I think that it's not entirely because of, but it's a huge factor when you consider Apple has what 11% of the market now. They're pushing the other companies to be their best, and they're still not as good as Apple, because Apple's doing what they do, and they come out 10% of the market. They're spending money, they're making money, their design's good, their product's great. It's fantastic. So 10 years ago,
I always want to be fair about, Max. It's a computer, and computers crash occasionally.
oh, they're not perfect. No. I'm just saying
they lock up, they crash. But I mean, it's to the alternative.
Even a Mercedes needs oil changed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you look at the alternative, it's a joke. I mean, I hear, though Ice made it clear, I don't use PCs. I haven't used them in years. But I still talk to people, and I hear people talk about their experiences with their, Pacers and Pintos. And I'm like, are you guys insane?
Right.
Come on.
Well, I guess
up.
I'm gonna comment on that just real quick, because we are getting off pace here, but or off track. Is the thing about Windows? I just want to point out, compared to the
I just
Apple,
slammed all the Pacer fans.
Yeah, exactly. Pacer rules.
They're all pissed at me
Gremlins,
now.
Man. Is the fact that it's always been so intrusive. It's always been so bothersome. A Windows machine, right? So the PC itself is just hardware, but then you have the Windows-based machine. And it's Windows that's been so intrusive. It costs too much. It's cumbersome. It crashes. So it gives you this ability to maybe hack a little bit easier or do this a little bit differently, but it's more on the kind of dry, boring, geeky side. And then you have a Mac who, well, they say, you know what they say? They're not a software manufacturer, which is a bunch of crap as far as I'm concerned. I think they were just trying to be nice, because without their software, they just have a pretty machine. So you take no software, you look at the machine, it's a bitchin' looking machine. It's designed well. It's very similar, but it just has a better design, better feel, better look, it just feels better. And, so then you throw their software on it. Their software is not intrusive. It doesn't bother. It doesn't, it does what it's supposed to be. It's an OS, operating system. It's not an all-inclusive, I'm going to screw your life up system. So that's kind of the differences that I see between Windows and Apple, is that one is like, you say Windows machine, but then yet it's just the OS that we're talking about that's cumbersome. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. So let's move on to the application.
All right, what are we going to talk about?
It's called Shoot It, and it's something that you can download. You can go to shootit.com, and what the basis of it, we're actually gonna try this out here at MacNTalk. We're not gonna do it right this second, but we're gonna try it out. What it does is you can take a picture with your phone, with your iPhone. It also works on BlackBerry, from what I understand as well. But we're going to talk about with the iPhone, and we're going to use it with the iPhone. And you download this application, you take a picture with it, you then can create a postcard. And on their site, it's kind of humorous. It says create and mail and then it has like a little arrow, like this should be real postcard. So I thought that was kind of neat, because they physically mail a postcard. So if you're on vacation or you're doing something and your parents live somewhere else, or friends or whoever, it doesn't matter, and you take a picture and you want to send a postcard, you don't have to go buy one. This is a personalized postcard that they will print out and mail to whoever you want. So I think that's kind of fascinating, and I think we'll try it. So that's the first time, Dan, as you mentioned, you said, there's several of them that do it. This is the first one. Someone mentioned it to me today. I looked at it, and it seemed pretty cool. I think
it is neat. I mean, it's not tons, but I mean, I have seen somebody that does a similar thing where you can take a picture and boom, get a print made, get something made, send stuff around, mail it to people or whatever, which is pretty slick-o-master.
I think it's cool. Cool. In fact, on their website, they have the pricing right now. I'll give the pricing. It's as low as 99 cents. To the United States, it's 99 cents. To North America, the United Kingdom, and Japan is $1.24. And then the Western Europe and Asia is $1.49. So that includes the printout and the postage, from what I understand. So we'll try it out next time. And,
cool. That'll be fun to see how that works with the quality and all that kind of stuff when you get it back. So it'll be cool.
That'll be way
cool. My little app that I was looking at that I've used, and actually used this on my little trip to Austin, is a thing called a GPS Drive from, I believe it's called Motion X, the company perhaps, but it's a little GPS app that you put on your iPhone, and it works beautifully. And considering the alternate, which is that other company that is whatever, I don't want to call them out, but their app is a decent amount of money for this other iPhone app. What you're talking about. It's another company. They make actual devices. You can buy them in big stores. And
Garmin?
No.
Well, let's say it. Magellan.
TomTom.
Oh, TomTom. Okay. So there's about 3 out there. Yeah, no, I know exactly what
in the TomTom app. It's a little bit of money for that. Well, this thing is like nothing. I mean, the actual app for GPS Drive, I mean, is very inexpensive. And one thing I like about it is to subscribe to it, you don't have to subscribe to it. You can buy a month. You can subscribe to it for the year, and I think it was like $30 to buy it for the year, or it's $2.99 a month. Well, this is something that I'm going to use intermittently. Generally, I'm around my house. As I've said, I don't even go to a job, so it's not like I'm out on the road where I'm doing sales and I need to find addresses. So it's occasionally I need GPS, but it's occasional. I like this that I can re-up it, and I've had to use it, and when my month that I had wore out, the time expired, I needed to re-up it. I hit it, boom, bought it, paid it, through my Mac account, through the iTunes store. Bang, I was up and running again, and I had a GPS thing for another for a month, for $2.99. I don't have to mess around with a monthly thing that I'm not going to use. And I know a lot of people that are in my similar circumstances that they like the idea of having a GPS, but you don't want to pay for that all the time because you don't use it much. I'm not you're not a sales guy on the road. It's just occasionally you might go on a road trip and you want GPS.
Yep.
So anyway, Motion, the GPS Drive, excellent. Worked beautifully, turn by turn, even talks to you, comes up and talks to you, make left in 200 feet, just like the big money ones. So it was very nice.
I have a little bit of experience with the Motion X as well. They actually have two versions of it. They have the GPS Drive, and then they have another one that's Motion X GPS, I believe. And one of them is more geared towards driving. It'll tell you what to, the turn by turn and all that. And the other one is for more like hiking, biking, and various other trail activity. And the reason why I know about it, it's called GPS. Reason I know about it is because the CEO of my company happened to go to Africa and hike Kilimanjaro or whatever it's called. Kilimanjaro. And Kilimanjaro? Wow, where the hell did that come from? Sorry, that was pretty lame.
Was pretty
Sorry.
Wild.
I'm going to have to cut that out. That was pretty... I'm a retard, and... Hold on, I don't want to offend...
Now you're going to offend...
I'm going to offend everybody. No matter what I do, I'm going to offend somebody.
You're just going for it. I would just stop.
I'm going to stop now. But anyway, so he went there. He went there for a humanitarian effort, and they ended up doing this hike. Well, he had his hike with elevation and all this different thing, the trail and this killer map. So it had his trail as if he had drawn it, like you see on the GPS. So I asked him, I said, hey, what did you use for that? That's great. And he said, I used my iPhone. What? I didn't even know that existed. So there was different views he had, and it was it's kind of a 3D type thing. It wasn't just a 2D little thing. And he used GPS by Motion X. And it's funny because I already had...
That's sweet. In Africa?
Yeah. So it pulls... What it does cool. is you export it, and it goes into a Google map. And then somehow there's different form... I don't know what map he used, but it was a really cool... it showed him going up... Not him, but it showed kind of a 3D rendering of it. And I already had the GPS drive, and I had used it out too. Same experience as you. Is I used it, tried it out. It came for like 5 days. I didn't have to buy it, but it had like 5 free days, and it was great. I mean, and it's something I would still use when I need it, and
it's nice. So it's as advertised. It works beautifully and
easy to use,
as advertised.
Yep, I agree.
It's awesome.
Good choice. Oh, and I'm noticing now that they have something for the iPad as well. So,
everything's being ported to the iPad. I kind of rather expected that.
Yeah, which is actually interesting. Let's talk about the iPad.
Yeah. You are going to get your hands on one soon. So
yes, MacNTalk
I think we both actually played with one, but actually more.
But I think it's different when you get it and you own it and it's not someone else's, or you're in the store and you can kind of try to put some practical use to it and see where it fits, because, I don't know. I've kind of had this reservation about it because I'm not sure where it would fit in my life. I'm not sure where it fits in other people's lives. So I can tell you what I observe as the target market, but I'm being shown that I'm wrong left and right, and I'll tell you why. One is I think that it's targeted for people with iPhones that weren't Mac users to begin with. I think that's a huge market, because when they were in pre-order, everybody that I knew that were not Mac people that wanted to buy a Mac, but they were just a little too expensive for them, but they had an iPhone and they loved it. It's a bigger iPhone, so they're familiar with it. And they're a hit. I mean, everybody that I know that got one that was in that category, it was an absolute hit, and they love it, and it's great. So I think that to me is the biggest target market. Does it target you, who has 2 machines in your house? I'm sure that work fine, that are anywhere you go, there's a machine. You have a laptop. I have a laptop and a desktop. I have 2 laptops and a desktop, and so does it really fit in an iPhone? So it's like,
well, my argument is that my thought is that it's not that. It's not a laptop replacement. It's not a computer replacement. That's not its place. I mean, it's just not what it's about.
But does it fit comfortably in between a laptop and a iPhone? Or does it fit comfortably above the iPhone itself?
I think it's its own thing. I mean, the market I keep seeing for this darn thing is like, I keep thinking like my mom, my mother-in-law. These people that they're not real computer savvy, and I think most of the people I know that don't. You're not talking about working. You're talking about people who want to look at pictures. They want to go up on the internet. They want to read a book. This is a great device for that kind of thing.
Right.
All these people they just don't care. I mean, they're not looking at working. They don't care that, oh, can I expand it? They don't want to expand it. They want to look at the pictures of their grandkids. They want to contact their girlfriend or their buddies and talk about fantasy football or what the hell ever. I mean, this is kind of, I think this is where it fills. And I think when you get too in the industry, or whatever you want to call it, when you're too involved with computers and you work with them so much and you need a workhorse, you kind of get out of touch with the fact that most people aren't like that.
True.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, most people aren't like that. Most people don't need a big computer and a laptop here and like you and I both. I mean, my wife has her laptop, I have mine, I have my desktop, the kids have their computer. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, but a lot of people aren't like that. They don't live that life. I mean, they don't so heavily involved with computers. They want to get email and look at Farmville.
Right. No, I agree. I know exactly what you're saying, and I think that I'm being proven wrong the more and more I look into it, because, I mean, I guess it is a big iPhone. I'll give you that, but I think there's more power to it, and I'll be the first to test this out. Being a network engineer, I have to go and log into systems. I have to log in, and I've seen things that have to do with VMware, remote desktop, that gives me the ability to remote into our systems at my work and in order to do my job. So I wouldn't necessarily need to pull out my laptop, but I could be almost anywhere with the 3G capability. I don't need to bring 1,500 chargers and this and that and the other thing and things that take up a whole carload full of stuff if I'm going to do some minor work. If I have to do extensive work, it might be a little bit cumbersome, but listen, I'm already surfing the web on a 4-inch screen, on my iPhone. So the screen size is going to make a huge difference, and I think they sooner or later will find a happy medium to the size, which this may be the size that you can do things. And whenever you create, like, people are creating applications, I think they've demonstrated with the iPhone how important it is with these applications, and that you only need to be able to do what you need to do with the application. Meaning, for instance, I'm going to use Excel. Excel is hugely, it can be right on the verge of a massive database, right? I've seen people use it in the most obscure ways that are so advanced that it boggles your mind. Where I go in and I just use this, I use a couple fields here and there, and it's not a big deal. But I'm still using the functionality of it similarly than they're using it, but they're on a grand scale. So we have this huge program, and I'm using just a little minor functionality of it. And I think the iPhone applications are just that. Hey, you know what? You're going to use it for, like, I use the iPhone. I have an application I have on it that only does this one little thing. I don't need it to do more. And so it fits nicely. So I think the iPad is that. I mean, it takes these applications and it says, these are things that basically you just need to know how to do this. This is what it's used for. You're going to use this, but you have all these little things that fit in different parts of your life where you're.
I think, a lot of people are upset with the Muddy Crank, and that what the heck did I just say? A lot of people are upset with the iPad. Was looking at something. A lot of people are upset with the iPad and how it is closed, and they'll say, "Oh, you can't." It's a closed thing. All the applications are closed, and it's a closed environment. You have to buy the apps, and this is, again, I just keep going back to, I think what it is a bunch of these talking heads like you have on TV, blah 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 blah, about politics.
Right.
I think you have the same thing. You have these pundits, you have these talking heads in the industry that are just out of touch. They're just out of touch. It doesn't need to be this open, expansive thing that people don't care. I don't think people want that. People I talk with all the time, yeah.
I think it's simple. If it's simple and it works, then why do you need to be able to go in and modify the crap out of it? Why do you need to have it being open source so you can have a modification, develop in it? Why do you need that? You don't need that. As long as it's targeting some function of your life and it's usable, then you don't need it. If it's easy and it works for is it 100% perfect? Probably not. Nothing is. There's no absolute zero. There's no. I mean, so let's not have a philosophical conversation on it. It doesn't need to be done in most cases. So
yeah, well,
so I think it's
that's
a
just
good
what
thing.
People get out of touch with it.
I think the control is a good thing. I honestly I do. I don't think they're doing anything wrong, and that's what makes the product usable, because there's control. Without control, you have chaos, which.
Well, and it becomes, it's I don't know. It's fine. I think it's a good deal. I think the pundits and talking heads in the computer industry need to shut up, but they won't because it's their job to talk and they have to have something to talk about. Kind of rather as we're talking here, but
right. Yeah, but so that the Motion X software comes for the iPad as well. So now you have this big GPS unit. Mm-hmm. Isn't that cool? So now you don't need so this is what the great thing is about this. I think about the iPhone. I'm kind of bleeding both of them together. Is that it encompasses a large portion of different things. Maybe not a large portion of different things, but many different things. Whether it's exercising, it's global GPS, it's photography, it's email, it's communication. It's somehow they've categorized the things in life that people do, and this thing somehow can target some function of it. I remember first getting the iPhone, and there was an application that dumped us into our financial system, and no one had an iPhone except for me. And it was the first thing I saw because I was trying to sell it to the company saying, hey, you know what? We need these because of certain reasons. And I found the perfect one. An application that gets us into our financial system for people to do sales, excuse me, to do a variety of different things in our financial system. Well, okay, they just nailed a huge market, business. So you can do business on it, have pleasure with it. You can do all kinds of different things without a headache. And so I think that I hope I'm pleasantly surprised with the iPad being something greater than what my expectations are of it. I have kind of two expectations. One is my reality is I think that it's nothing more than a big iPhone and big whoop. And I'll take that with a grain of salt. But then on
blasphemer.
But on the other hand, I think that I'm thinking what I'm saying is that it encompasses so much, or can potentially encompass so much, that I'm almost expecting a lot out of it. Not to be a replacement of a laptop, but give me more ability than the iPhone itself. Different applications that encompass more of my life. It doesn't need to be more powerful. It just needs to encompass more things. So I don't know. Excuse me. So I think...
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting when you get a hold of that and play with it and all that. I really am interested to see how it develops and where it goes and what people use it for and and all that. I really am. I think it'll be neat. I mean, again, these are all just guesses I have. Like my I think a lot of if you can afford what is it, minimally $500 just for a luxury to sit around, I'd love to have one sitting on the coffee table. At this point right now, I can't really justify having one. That's why I don't have one. Is that it's kind of like I don't have $500 just to toss around, and I have my laptop, which is pretty portable and all that, but. So I think you have the two different markets. You have the people who just have the money and it's a luxury and it's cool and they want to have one sitting on their coffee table and they can pick it up and read a book off of it or look something up.
Magazines and
people so often do now is you just look things up. You're sitting there talking about things and you go to IMDb and where was that actor and whatever it is, you Google things and all that kind of jazz, which is very cool. But so it'll be interesting as you get it and you get your hands on and then you get to see it in the real world. What you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna take the first approach on kind of hooking up the 3G and see how I can use it in my job, and then figure out ways that people can use it in my company, and then how it affects how we can use it personally. So, when I say MacNTalk, hey, I'm going to let you borrow it. We're going to really try to review this and see, yeah, it's cool, or you know what, it's a very viable solution for a lot of different things. Whatever. We'll give our honest opinion.
Sure. You know what it doesn't have?
Blow up doll?
Wow.
It might.
Where is your mind? Okay. Well, maybe. But what it doesn't have is Flash.
Flash.
Yes, and So, I don't know. Do you need Flash? I mean, I know Steve's been duking it out, man. He's toe to toe with Adobe, and they're going at it, and I think they're trying to do it somewhat civilly, but it's I don't know how civil it's been going. I noticed on Apple's website they have a link on the front page to talking about Flash.
Yeah, thoughts on Flash.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. I was like, "Woo, look at them go!" Yeah, so
I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't know exactly why. There's something underlying this, because is it security? Is it what is it? What is it that is the real beef?
I mean, I don't know. Steve says he's is always he's very into the user experience, and and it just doesn't work well. And Flash has been troublesome on the Mac. It is crashy. It's buggy. It doesn't run. It's a resource hog.
Is it really?
Oh, dude, compared to other types of video and the other standards that you have, like the Flash video is ridiculous pig. And
wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a big pig resource-wise, and you get the fans from running this Flash stuff.
Yeah, I hate that.
It's and so it is a question of what do you really need Flash for? And he's arguing you can do it with HTML5 and their video standard that they have, Apple has, and he's arguing, and then Adobe strikes back, and they're saying no, it's because Apple is closed, because they have their closed standards, and they don't have open. They're not open, and they haven't opened their code to us, so we can make Flash. Well, then Steve kind of, in Steve's way, he opens that up to him and goes, "There you go, do it." Well, they still haven't done anything, and it's still, it hasn't been long, but still they haven't come out with anything, and they're arguing. I think it's kind of funny they're arguing about a closed environment, because I'm like, Adobe, I mean, that's not their business, is to be in some open. What is Adobe open source? All
of a sudden they're open source. It's free.
Yeah, how much is the new CS5?
Right. Dude, I haven't even looked, but I'm sure it's $1,600.
Yeah. I mean, so I think the whole argument with, that they're going back and forth about it is pretty funny. I kind of would like to see something else happen, to be quite honest. I think it's time to move on from Flash. I think it was revolutionary for its time. It's been very interesting, and then they've done a lot of nice things with it. I hear, what's the name of that darn company that makes all that stuff that people play on Facebook? Zynga, Yanga, Zonga, Yonga, Yanga.
I have no idea.
No, they do. They do the games like Farmville. They do Farmville.
Yeah, I have not once played any of those.
Zynga. Well, you are a rarity, my friend. Zynga, I've heard talk that they're going away from it, and that they want to go their own way, and that they're working to get these things on the iPad and the iPhone, and well, how are they going to do that? If there's no Flash, that means they're going a different direction with it. And it's known that there is other technologies to use, so I'd like to see it happen. I think Flash has been very cool. I don't have any personal bone to pick with Flash or Adobe, but yeah, I mean, it does seem, from what I've seen from what Adobe has done, they've kind of ignored the Mac. It works, but it doesn't work nearly as well as it does on the PC, and so they've really kind of focused towards that. It's the bigger market share. I mean, hey man, they're in business to make money, and so you can understand why they would focus on that. But at the same time, now there's this, Apple is selling how many millions of these units for these phones, and now this iPad that is just, as we were talking about earlier, you can't walk into a store and get one.
Right. Yeah.
Which is kind of an answer to this, what we've been discussing. Where's the iPad?
And did I even mention that? Did I mention that I went to go find one in the local Apple stores,
I don't think
and they're sold out? No, I didn't.
No,
I went to I called all the stores. None of them. They didn't even have. I mean, I stopped asking because I was looking for the 3G specifically. But at two of the stores, I said, "Well, do you have any of them?" And they said, "No." And then I called customer service and said, "Hey, can you check the inventory? He said, no, but let me tell you, it's better to order it because people are getting them faster than the stores are. So I put in an order, and 3 weeks. 3 weeks. That's
3
faster.
3 weeks is what you got?
Yeah. 3 weeks.
Holy smoke-a-noli,
So,
man.
and
Yeah,
that's faster than the store. So, they're manufacturing real slow or something. So.
I think the response has just been crazy, which is kind of funny to all these people. Oh, where's it going to fit in? It's not a laptop. It's just a big iPhone. I'm like, well, apparently a lot of people are thinking that it's something a little more than just a big iPhone.
And it's amazing how people will just drop $500 to $1,000,
I thought the economy was supposed to be terrible. What's happening?
Well, it's funny because Apple's not hurting. They're cash rich, huge, gigantic. They're the company that, thank God, I'm happy with because they're making me happy and they're happy. So a bunch of happy people on that side. But let's wrap this up. I think that we've had some good conversations tonight. I want to just say to the people out there, glad to be back, and we hope that this time we go a lot longer and we bring you some good information, and we really like user communication. So if you want to register on our website or you want to send us an email,
MacNTalk.com.
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 No, but that's not our email.
It's MacNTalk.com. That's
our website.
Yeah.
And if you want to send us email, send it to MacNTalk@gmail.com, and that'll be temporary. I'm sure we'll work through that, but we like to hear from you and like to have interaction. So please send us a line.
All right, you keyboard monkeys. That'll do it till next time, I think.
I think you're right.
All right, man.
That's a wrap.